soundtrack panel for video game soundtracks. Yeah.
Hey guys. Thanks.
Hi.
Thanks.
Hey, so this is the video game soundtracks panel. Thank you all for coming. My name is Steven. This is
Well, introduction.
Hey everyone, I'm Fernando. I'm a strike online.
My name's John. I've been listening to video game soundtracks for years, quite possibly more than quote-unquote normal music. And I've had a bit of experience with producing. I work in radio, so that sounds good.
My name is Aiden. I've been listening to soundtracks ever since the first Final Fantasy 1. I'm actually more into the US side rather than the more Japanese side. I'm also a sound designer and producer as well. I got some video game remixes, some anime remixes, a whole bunch of stuff. You can find me online under Stedminster, S-T-E-D-M-I-S-T-E-R.
I've got a question here. What keeps you guys listening to video game soundtracks?
Well, I mean, new games, obviously. There's usually new stuff. When we came out, that was a pretty great soundtrack to listen for a while. And it's just, there's still more stuff being produced, and usually it's pretty good.
An enjoyable game to go along with the soundtrack. So if you played the game, you enjoyed the game, it's much easier to enjoy the soundtrack. Because if you have a soundtrack that's really good and a game that sucked, it's not good memories, bad memories mixed together. It doesn't work.
Would you say that sometimes a video game soundtrack can make a game that is this close to being a bad game that much better?
Yeah,
like your favorite playable? Yeah.
The fact that they're starting to now go for more orchestration in terms of doing music, like more memory on the actual games themselves. And even like this year they released the 25th anniversary Legend of Zelda concert.
Yeah, the Hyrule Orchestra.
Yeah,
which is great.
Which is absolutely amazing, all the work for Coach Tron and all that.
Over there?
Obviously, in addition to all the other answers, I think something that deserves to be mentioned is the fact that these days a lot of people are adding their own lyrics to video game soundtracks.
Yeah. Are we talking like
Brennan Floss, Dwayne and Brando, Hiya Dane, Mega Ran, all the big ones.
Yeah.
I just like the music. Is that it?
Good point.
Do you think you like it if it wasn't video game music? Like if you heard it outside the context, would you still enjoy it as much?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
But I think video games are like that's what brings you into the music. That's how you discover it. So we wouldn't know about it if it weren't for the game.
Or the music just enhances what you see too.
Yeah.
It gives you more.
The visual aspect.
Well, I always found what was it, the final boss for Fantasy Menu 2's 5 was freaking awesome, and it just always felt like something was huge in front of you.
Music can empower a game and make it. I don't want to say borderline real, but for some people, for me, Metal Gear Solid, I get pumped when I play that game because Harry Williams, who composed Armageddon and The Rock, does an amazing job. And that's, I think that's part of the
I'd just like to say I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
Solid.
Yeah.
One more comment over there?
Not just good music and good games, but when the music is used like so appropriately in the game, and then you listen to it, all the memories come back.
Have you played FS?
No.
This is a very cool soundtrack that does things like that, where the kind of the tone they mix into it and the way they play with the soundtrack. Digital world is crumbling around the player, and so the music itself degrades in certain parts, but it still flows nicely. It still feels really good and really adds to the atmosphere of the game. I got a question for you guys. What do you guys think of hiring traditional composers like Terry Gregson Williams versus people who are more specialized towards video game music, like remasters? So,
And if I can just sort of build on that, black or white. Do you guys prefer melodic compositions that loop after maybe a minute or two versus something big and sweeping and grand, but doesn't really have that, that melodic, catchiness? And why?
I think that really depends on the atmosphere of the game in general. Because like if you have a game like say Super Mario Bros. For example, with the lighter tones, you're going to want that catchy melody to get you through it. When you have something darker like say Metal Gear Solid, you're going to want something more to get you pumped into the moment.
I've always wondered what it would be like to play Metal Gear Solid with like Super Mario 3. Yeah, no, yeah. Have you ever played a game where you think that sort of a grand sweeping orchestral arrangement wouldn't work and it doesn't work?
Anything scary.
Really?
Oh, well, to some degree, because you can
Resident
have
Evil.
Well, yes, they have the nice more. It's like the slower parts doesn't work.
Yeah.
So that was a half thought. I apologize for that. I was thinking, I guess, what was it? Never
Silent Hill. Has anybody here?
Oh yes.
Silent Hill. Yeah. There is not a lot of music in the Silent Hill games.
Yeah.
What is there is gorgeous, gorgeous. Because when it appears, or I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. You listen, and it builds upon the atmosphere that is there in the game, which I think forces you to cling to that music even more.
What would you say about something like Haunting Ground, where there's not really that much music, but then, there's almost like a lack of audio kind of cues you in to whatever is going to come after you, and then depending on who is chasing you, then of course it changes depending on who it is, which gives you a sense of more impending doom, I guess.
I think that it works with certain games, and with certain games it doesn't. I'll bring up Fallout. Listening to like old school, like 40s and 50s tunes, where when people are coming after me with like chainsaws and axes, and like
It was the same with BioShock as well too. That had a great soundtrack for a great atmosphere. And I heard BioShock Infinite is actually going to have a mix of like really old tunes and plus some stuff from the 80s as well.
Oh really?
Yeah, apparently there's.
Are we talking like Madonna, like Vogue, or like B-52s?
We are talking Tears for Fears, people.
Oh,
Tears
wow.
for Fears apparently is supposed to be in the game. I don't know how they're going to make it work, but apparently there's going to be some time ripping
And there's 80s and
there's going to be 80s music in BioShock Infinite.
I think that trend really started with the first Tomb Raider, right? Where they would keep it,
Yes.
the soundtrack to the
Keep it toned down.
Actually, the first game that did that was originally planned, it was Myst, was originally planned to not have a musical score. And then they decided to add a little bit of music for the tone later.
Right now with great effect, that was great effect.
Great effects, and the Myst soundtracks have been great ever since the first game and gotten quite better and a lot more orchestral.
Yeah,
As well.
when I've seen it, I really enjoy it because it really does get that, it takes it up to the next level, right? You know something's going on. Again, I don't think it's never been used correctly as far as I've seen it.
Have any of you guys played Limbo at all?
Yes, I tried the demo.
Yeah. If you got to the secret level, it's basically a blank screen, and all you can see is the character's eyes. And the music was done there really well. It wasn't really music, it was just like sound effects. And you had to use those sound effects to navigate through the level because it was completely dark, just a black screen. And I think that was used really well.
There was an Xbox game called The Mob, an Xbox Live game that I never played, but I heard it's similar where you play a monster and you can't see people following in and you have to use your sound channels to figure out where they are to eat them. So those are the guys who made a couple great ones, but it's really good.
What do you guys think of the inclusion of classical music? Yeah. And I'm not just talking like new stuff. If anybody here has played Earthworm Jim 2,
Yep.
the level, the Billy people, we were a salamander in
Moonlight Sonata.
Psychro's intestine and amoebas are coming after you.
I used to get annoyed by it when it was like an old school retro game and they just did it too because they didn't want to pay for licensing for anything, right? Or pay to write their own music.
Moonlight Sonata.
But what I really appreciate recently is Catholic soundtrack where they
Oh, yeah.
the persona composer.
Yes.
Soundtrack.
So much Kakume.
It was like completely all the theme levels.
What are some of your favorite soundtracks? Yeah.
Happy Feel the Gear.
Heavy metal for a fighting game. Really, where can you go wrong? Have you played the Blaze Booster?
Yeah.
Really? It's a lot of the same, but it's got more production. It's got more electronic elements to it, things like that. More synth. So,
That's what we yeah.
Sonic CD?
Yeah.
Sonic CD?
Oh, the US or the Japanese one?
Please.
Yeah, there's a big difference.
The Japanese one is so amazing.
Yeah.
It's unlike any other Sonic game.
Do you have do you know like which one did you play? The US one?
Oh, I just actually heard the opening, that's all.
Oh yes.
Wait, again, which opening?
If it was Sonic
American.
Boom, it was US.
Sonic Boom, okay.
Yeah.
Toot toot. Fucking toot toot.
Great, but try and check out the Japanese one. It's very different and very good.
The Ace Combat series has always been a fan of mine.
I got the gas soundtrack. Throw that up.
Anyone use combat?
I don't know it personally.
Okay, you guys are gonna have to take a seat and sit down.
sorry.
You guys, even if you guys have to separate, you guys have to take a seat. We're not taking any more people out
Classic Mega Man. It's so upbeat, they can always win.
I think we can talk about Mega Man for the rest of the time.
Mega Man 2.
Do you have a favorite track? I think.
That's probably one of the hardest decisions I could ever make. But if I had to choose, I would say
Go with your gut.
Galaxy Fantasy. It's just that's just the one.
They actually hired for Mega Man 9 and 10 a mixture of the old NES composers. They brought in like one composer to do one song,
Really?
to do another, etc. Yeah, that's why some of the songs you have like Jewel Man, which almost sounds like music from Mega Man 4. Kind of disjointed, still melodic, but weird and sort of. Yeah.
Let's try this
I like the Metal Gear Solid soundtracks. I also like when they do the 8-bit remix. If you ever get those people, they go back to the original.
Yeah, from OC Remix, those guys.
I guess really anything from Koji Kondo, so all of the Legend of Zelda music.
Is he still doing this?
I'm not sure if he did some new. You guys wait outside for a moment because there are people waiting.
I know he did Twilight Princess.
I'm actually going through Ocarina of Time for the first
Just
time
one
right
second.
now.
I'm
I
gonna
just beat the Water Temple. The music in that game, I'll confess, I never got through Ocarina of Time because I found it boring. But the music in that game is
So,
the music of that game,
You just hit.
Koji Kondo's music in general, as opposed to where a lot of composers for me will just compose for a game based on the level, he will build on what happens. The Forest Temple, when I listen to that music, I rage. I want to put my fist through it. The Water Temple, same thing. When I'm on the world map and I'm fighting an opponent, it feels good. It really does. Yeah, it's interesting what music can do for you.
Here. Yes.
Oh, yes.
That's one of my favorite soundtracks this generation.
feel free to go take a seat.
It's the same people who did Dragon Guard.
Really?
It's a lot of
I got a couple, but like anything from the East series in general is pretty good. ActRaiser, which was funny because I discovered that he also did the soundtrack for Super Adventure Island. Yeah.
That's kind of like left field.
Well, I mean, he went from, Coco
Oh, it's
Cabana,
awesome,
like
yeah.
tropical and sort of thing to,
Dark.
something that sounds like.
East is one of my favorites, and I think probably the only series I think that can rival, Castlevania's music or even come close to it.
I really like the Bayonetta soundtrack, actually.
Nice.
You mean like model music? Where you're like shooting and killing people and it's like, dude,
Yeah, it's so great. It's just like so like inappropriate.
walk down the runway, honey, and kill everyone. Yeah.
We got Luigi out there?
Yeah, I got a few choices. As far as Metro soundtracks, I gotta say, overall, I thought Mega Man 3 was better than Mega Man 2.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Okay, all I'm gonna say, if there's one thing that I can bring up on that, people need to really look outside the box. A lot of games are very overrated, and a lot of people do not look beyond those games.
Is there nostalgia about this?
Yeah, a lot of people, A Link to the Past and Ocarina of Time. I still like A Link to the Past more. It's
Thank
one
you.
of those things that, but being able to look outside the box Ocarina of Time is a different feel. It's a good idea. Does anybody find any particular video game soundtracks that are overrated? Anybody? Come on, be honest. You're not going to be shocked. Put your hands up. Come on.
Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
We were all thinking it.
It wasn't a bad soundtrack, but we can say that it's
We've gotten better stuff like since then, or even like 6 was really great.
That's my favorite. Yes.
Dancing Man for me will always be better.
Well, there's so many different parts to make it.
Yeah. It's a four-piece.
Three.
Four. I think you guys can please find the soundtrack is maybe most people, like I'm not a guy who listens to
Okay, I can't keep the door open.
orchestral music, but I just downloaded the Arkham City
Oh.
score, you know, because of how incredibly fantastic it is.
Yeah.
So I think, for as much as things people make about Halo, there is better compositions out there as far as large orchestral pieces.
I think the thing that makes Halo so great is that while you're playing the game, the music adapts to your situations.
Yeah, a lot of game makers nowadays use the term interactive media, which basically you write music for a specific piece and it's programmed into the game and a certain action to change. And a lot of the newer games are actually starting to incorporate that into their gameplay to sort of change the mood of how like the game works and sort of create emotion. That's basically the point of storytelling and game telling.
Metal Gear Solid. You're sneaking around, very, very chill. And then when it's alert, I'm like crapping my pants because I gotta find a box or like, you know, or yeah, it's
Super Mario World, the snare drum when you can jump on everything.
Right, when they add the extra little beat.
Or when time is running out. Yeah. Fighting games when the time is getting really down there. For some of the old Street Fighters, Street Fighter 4, yeah, you get kind of antsy because you're like, oh, yeah.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Just going back to Zelda for a quick sec, like, I think one of my favorite musical moments in Zelda is the Minish Woods theme from Minish Cap. Because there's a scene where, like, you're about to head into the Minish village, and it's just like, you see giant grass and stuff all around you, and just like, moving along, and you just listen to the song. I'm just like, I remember one time I just had my Game Boy on my desk, whatever, and just listened to that song for like an hour straight. I love it. It's just so catchy.
Yeah, another really good example with that, and I find a lot of people tend to associate their experience with Ocarina of Time to this song, Serious Song for the Lost Woods.
Mm-hmm.
I always hear people humming that, and I'm like, why? What's so important? Well, I played it now, and I can't get the. It's always in my head now. You know?
It's the same thing with the prelude from Final Fantasy 1. It's been in every single game. Almost. They
let's just forget about the
They usually do a remix every now and then, but it's iconic. And I think everyone knows it.
Did they not get rid of the victory theme in 13?
What they did, like they didn't have the da-da-da-da part like that's initially there, but since 7 they kind of alternated and took out the last bit and changed it around.
No, but they still have the
That
needs to be there. That needs to be there.
Yeah, it was kind of missed. I thought it was still, it sounded pretty okay for what it was doing.
Yeah,
but then I was in a weird mood when I got 13, felt like a more linear game that I kind of learned about it as I played. But I know it's not for everybody.
Does anybody find that not only altering their experience, but music has changed their play style? I'll bring up a huge example for me, Metroid. The deeper and deeper I get into the Metroid games, I don't want to say scared, but I get kind of freaked out.
Which particular Metroid? Just any of them?
Super Metroid. When you get down to Heredia and and it gets really, really
Oh
tight,
yes, the
and there's
really
crabs
quiet.
coming after you, and it's like stop.
I like in Metroid Prime when like you destroy the queen and then you hear like the alarms going and you just hear that music and it's just like you hear like dee 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 dee. It's so cool because you just want to get out of there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So intense.
Yeah,
if you ever get a chance to play Secret of Monkey Island 2, they actually implemented the whole whatever you do, the music changes. It's like an overworld like town theme. You walk into a building, and then the music will be programmed to change. And then you come out, it will be programmed to go back to the original. And like you said earlier, it's implementing this a lot in adventure games.
Yeah.
Kind of bring back that audience. That's pretty cool.
Me? Yeah. Okay, so I think my favorite soundtrack, I've been racking my brain, I think I have to go with Persona 3 and 4, because they are the only video games that by the end of the game, I was not completely sick of the normal battle theme.
I think it's an interesting mix of
There were 3 enemies.
And the one thing I will say, I do love in Persona 3 and 2 is when you fight the boss and they do the remix of the opening theme.
Yeah.
That really gets me going for those.
I was gonna just kind of add on that, but Shimonoi Sensei Nocturne, where
There we
you'll
go.
be playing it and you'll have different riffs depending on how quick you decide to attack.
Yep.
The music will actually start sooner.
If you get ambushed, it gets really aggressive. They got that like hard guitar. Guy in the back there, classes.
Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Morrowind I never really got into, but I love in Skyrim, the soundtrack for that too. Whenever a game comes, you just know. You know it's going to be good. Morrowind was Skyrim too. You guys know what the candle? They just have to go back to the soundtrack.
I've seen.
Now I have to go back to Skyrim.
I like Portal 2 a lot too. Like the part when you're in the gels or whatever, because you hear like the music in the background, and then when you're on like the sliding gel, it like makes like a riff or whatever as you're sliding, and I love how that in tunes with the music. I'm like, that's so cool.
Just going back to the Elder Scrolls and stuff, I played Morrowind, I played Skyrim and Oblivion, and I found there was a really big difference between the two, where it seemed like Oblivion they had a lot less of a soundtrack, so they had to make it worth more, so you have all the songs being really memorable, but in Skyrim, because they had this huge soundtrack, you could only find about 2 or 3 that were really catchy for the ear.
Do you guys like it or dislike it when games will have nods to previous soundtracks or like, you know, little things here and there? Do we have any Castlevania fans here? Castlevania Lords of Shadow. The music box?
I haven't actually gotten to it.
I didn't play Castlevania.
What did they nod to, or did they not nod to it?
There's a few nods. There's a few really, really nice nods. But do you guys like it or dislike it when they do that?
I would enjoy it if they add something different to the table for the spin, like
But they put
especially
something
if you
in
have
there
a
for, like,
nostalgic
old fans.
feel to
Yeah.
it too. But and it also would introduce people that would play, because I played, what was it? Even though it was a really crappy, version of Castlevania X on Super Nintendo at first, but I played since then the actual proper, one on the PSP and TurboGrafx CD. But when I heard Bloody Tears, I didn't realize the names of it. I'm like, oh my god, it's the first song
That's
Castlevania 2. And it's just like,
I found, going back to Metal Gear Solid again, in Metal Gear Solid 4, when they play the old and just with the acoustic guitar, whenever something really, really, really sad happens, oh my god.
Yeah, the iPod was like the best feature in that game.
That was amazing.
Because like I remember I'd be sneaking around in the European town and I would play like the Metal Gear theme, like Theme of Terra, like, dun, 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 and I would just play that and it would match so well. I loved it.
Or just play the J-pop song the whole game.
Yeah, the J-pop song, that was awesome.
And just ruin everything. Kill them.
Oh,
I just wanted to
And now this portal's off.
bring up, like, because you were talking about how video game chat subjects changes as series go on and goes on. Like,
Nice.
the change from, like, you know, early Final Fantasy being like really catchy stuff you can go away coming to later Final Fantasy being more atmospheric and more enhancing the game as opposed to going away on like, for example,
Oh, the old switch.
Hitoshi Sakimoto's stuff after Nobuo went away, the only thing that was really catchy were like the main things like Dragon Master and the things that were nods to previous ones. It was the same thing in Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross. Like you come away from Vegas, any battle in Vegas, and you're humming and like, but like the later ones are all atmospheric.
Yeah.
And it was the same with like Drakengard, which only had one chord for most of the songs.
What do you guys think of soundtracks that have a really prevalent instrumental theme? Like all guitar, all piano. Masashi Hamauzu, who does the new Final Fantasy soundtracks, loves piano, and it's very, very he likes piano and violin as well. Yeah.
There was something, I don't know if they're coming back.
Yeah.
I believe like if they're using the same instruments but adding some variants to it, or some sort of style that we're using.
It has to fit well, but there's such a compromise between making music that really suits the game, that makes the game enjoyable, and music that you want to listen to after the game.
Oh yeah.
If you don't mind, I'd like to go back to the non-full soundtrack. But I personally find it really interesting when they'll take a song from an older game and completely change the feel of it.
Yeah.
Like one good example I come to mind is in the Sega Saturn version of Castlevania. When you go in that one garden area and you just hear
Oh, the secret garden. Oh, yes.
That just got me laughing and enjoying it so much.
The Saturn.
I know the extra done, but which song was it that?
Sweet Brave Vampire.
Oh, right, okay.
Deus Ex in Invisible War actually did the for the second game series. They actually had the main theme, but it was remixed for it. And the also Human Revolution had a nod to the first game. If you stayed and watched that with the credits, it had a little bit of the opening theme from the first game.
On Human Revolution, I remember some of the radio channels would also play the NACO theme as well. I thought that was pretty amusing.
Going a little bit left field here. What do you guys think of like modern or like semi-modern music included in games? Grand Theft Auto having like, you know, like flock of seagulls, you're killing hookers and driving down the freeway. And yeah.
I think one of my favorite things from last year was Saints Row 3. That made the game for me.
I just love driving down the street playing Tim and Eric music. I'm a horrible person. I don't remember each other.
Just one last thing about nods to classics. I think my favorite example of that is Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, where you get to actually toggle throughout the game whether you want to hear the modernized music or the original music.
Actually, speaking with the toggling, they did that for Isoth and Logana. They allowed you to revert back to the X88 versions and stuff like that, or have the more composed pieces.
For the remake of Persona Innocent Sin as well.
Yes, that too.
And they're doing the same for Eternal Punishment. Thank God. That's a
well,
good way to not piss off fans.
Well, considering what they did to Persona 1 soundtrack for PSP, well, there was some.
I didn't mind some. I didn't mind some. Honestly, I might get shot for this.
No.
I listen to a lot of Japanese music. I don't like an abundance of J-pop in my game. I like melody. And like English while I'm like killing monsters is like it's
Well, you know why they did that though? It's because the music was changing in regards they're pulling the Persona series off into its own subgenre. The first two Personas were more closer linked to the Shin Megami Tensei series.
I can't stand 3 and 4. The dating sims, the J-pop, it's and again, shoot me. It sounds like they're trying to be way too good. It sounds way too try-hard for me.
Well, because it's centering more for teens and stuff, so it's changing to the markets. But no, I completely understand. I still enjoy them, but I've played like, you know, Digital Devil Saga, I played like Nocturne and like some of the older ones.
Because you know how right all those people.
Yes, exactly.
Can we get a comment at the back?
Yeah. What I found was really interesting was in No More Heroes, they had that whole 8-bit in advanced system. And it was just, the sound effects and the music just made you get addicted? I feel like you're playing an Atari somehow. I just love that whole mashup. It's great.
Have you ever had games where the music has ruined the game for you, where you can't play the game anymore? You really have to push yourself to play? You, right over there. Girl in the, yeah, you. Tasty food. Okay, selfie.
Oh my god. Senna Saga 2. Senna Saga 2. Where you go into the UN room. Like, what is that? I couldn't do it. Yuki Kajiro did such a good job with like 3 and her stuff, but then like just couldn't do it. I'm a music student. I need good music.
Yeah.
I was actually going to say the Persona 3 and 4 I didn't finish.
Exactly, yeah,
It drove me nuts.
I can't do it. Like, it's, I don't know, I appreciate what they're trying to do, but I got maybe 4 hours into Persona 3 and then dropped it.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is kind of minor, but like, when I bought Third Strike Online Edition, I played online. Sometimes
Some of those remixes are god awful.
Yeah, they're really bad, so I kind of switched back to it. But then when you play online, you think the music just stops all of a sudden. That kind of makes me want to like not even bother with the music.
Well, that's a flaw with the game. That's,
Yeah,
just, that's just a bad game code. You can blame the GGP over that.
Exactly.
I know all too well, man. All too well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think where you get some of the really bad music, but sometimes you get some really good stuff, is when they do the film adaptation games. So like for instance, like you'll have like Terminator, some of those games, the music is awful because all they've done is just ripped it from the movie and just thrown it in there without thinking where to put it. But you also get some stuff where it's actually pretty good, like the Battlefront games, where they actually had John Williams recompose theme music. It's not just ripped from the movies, but it still follows the same thematic style and all
Does
that
anybody
stuff.
here, okay, this is going back a bit, does anybody here remember the Super Nintendo Lion King and Aladdin games? With like the 8-bit like, this is so cool. Let me watch the movie, and the movie is not fun anymore because the game is better. Yeah. That's a fun little thing.
Alternatively, the Genesis ones are honestly just trying.
Well, they're both by two different companies, yeah.
The 16-bit Lion King, I can't wait to be king, running.
That level was terrible. Though.
Yeah, I know. Still fun as hell.
This guy waited for that.
I didn't play it myself, my brother did for a little bit. Final Fantasy 13. Even before it came out, we listened to the music. I thought it was really great. And when I actually saw him play the game and I heard the battle music play, I thought it was like, wow, a battle music that's actually really cool. Had all the orchestral stuff going on the strings. But then after you play for a little while, I just watch. After hearing that song for about the 15th time, I realized it didn't work as a battle theme. Because there's so much build up. And then there's that one.
Battles often don't last that long.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
so long they going and it's like, okay,
If you're always getting the 5-star rank or whatever, then I guess
it ends.
That's why 13.2 did way better with their battle soundtrack.
Sorry?
13.2 actually did way better with the battle soundtrack, I think.
Oh yeah, they got like drum and bass.
Paradigm, like not even the metal boss battle theme, which was terrible and totally out of place, but songs like Paradigm Shift and Worlds Collide are the top peaks of that album.
I was able to finish it, but I had a hard time with Star Ocean 4. Just the battle music with this like synthesized rock, like
that whole game is
just really cool.
I know for me personally, the Skate 3 soundtrack by EA, we're coming back to licensed games, licensed music here, but it was a little lackluster. Like, I'm a guy who grew up skateboarding punk rock and grew up playing the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater game, had a very nice punk rock soundtrack. And EA, probably just because that's where skateboarding is going, kind of gradually phased it out to a lot of kind of space poppy, mellow stuff. I just couldn't deal with it. But thank God I had a cord to plug into my Xbox and plug my iPod in, because I don't know if I'd ever seen it.
Sometimes that stuff can be fun unintentionally. I remember once I played, we were playing Burnout Paradise Party Mode, and there was one guy, my buddy Evo. Every single time he would play, it was his turn, Avril Lavigne would come on. It's such a terrible song.
The curse.
Yeah, exactly. Forever, he'll be known as Avril Lavigne fan.
Are we talking like Skater Boy or like?
No, it was Girlfriend.
Oh God.
No one wants to hear ever again.
That's classy.
And sometimes, like, what was that? Sometimes you get you know, even though you don't really dig it in the game or you get really annoyed by it, you miss it. Like when they took out Offspring from Crazy Taxi, as annoying as that song was when you put the song I was done, I'm used to when I replayed. Yeah. Let's go in the schedule there.
This is more or less the thing with the Sega Genesis in general, but like for like the Fantasy Star games for the Sega Genesis.
Sorry, was it Fantasy Star?
Yeah, for the Sega Genesis. Those RPGs, like I was interested in the game just because like on my virtual console I just wanted a game to play, so I looked up some footage of the game. I'm hearing the soundtrack and it's like, I don't think I can sit down for like 30 hours of just the Sega Genesis style music.
Yeah.
That melody sound I hate it.
I'm cheesed that they didn't release the PS2 remakes of those. They had like 1 and 2.
1 and 2. I've heard the games aren't that good, but...
Well, I mean, they're kind of archaic, I will admit, and I've already kind of spoiled myself. Because I've tried to get through, but they're just so archaic and old. It's hard.
Richard.
Yeah, every time games that like really good sound and good level, then the next level is really crap and really good, and same with the level. It's like kind of like they put a bad soundtrack to a bad level. A perfect example would be Sonic Adventures, both of them. Like the first level, skipping the city, like, oh, this is fun, great music. And the next level, you're like, totally different game, bad music.
Yeah, when they try to, I guess it just goes hand in hand, right?
I
When they
mean,
try to
Knuckles theme.
You have to think about though, they were going for different styles for different characters. Like Grant, I agree that the Knuckles raps are terrible.
Yeah.
But like in some cases, like let's say the Tails music, that's really good. That's some really good music there, but it doesn't fit Tails, but it's still good music.
Let's get your question up.
I think the only game I can ever think of that I ever stopped playing because the music was terrible was Blue Dragon. That boss theme, annoying.
What do you guys think of the mainstreamization of video game music? Like, they're trying to do it with concerts like Play and Video Games Live and Distant Worlds. But do you think that the mainstream will actually catch on and accept like you blasting video game music from your car or anything?
No.
I do that already.
iPod. We probably do it already, but like socially.
Hell yeah, we do it already.
Yeah.
I think ever since Public Duet from Castle Civilization 4 won a Grammy, I think probably within the next maybe 10 years, we're going to probably start to see more game music coming to the mainstream. Noticing trailers, like movie trailers, I hear a song from like a classical song from the game, and I'd be like, that's from a video game. Like nobody else might know it, but there have been very many trailers that have actually been starting to use video game music.
Even commercials, you start to see it a lot. Some of the commercials, you can just, and you know where that is, where that song's from. But it's like the commercial makes absolutely no sense where you know the music is from.
Yeah, it's slowly starting to creep into to mainstream society, but it's not at the level.
I'm sorry.
That I think it should be. Video games live is great, Play is great, and Distance World is great for sort of the general fan population.
I have to praise Tommy Tallarico for doing that.
I met him last year here in Toronto at the Video Game Live, and it was an awesome concert.
He's a good guy.
Same with Jack Wall. Jack Wall is another really great composer as well. And if it wasn't for Tommy and Jack, there'd be no Video Games Live concert.
Apparently, Chrono Trigger was his reason for video games. That's what he cites as a reason.
Nice.
Like, yes, yeah, really. You know,
Well, just to talk about games coming into the mainstream, did you guys know, like, years ago, there was a Janet Jackson song where she would sampled a theme from Legend of Mana, and it actually gets credited. Yeah. I wish I could remember the name of the song. It was like the Romero theme. I'm trying to remember the name of the stage, but it's clearly a Legend of Mana song sampled in a Janet Jackson song.
That's happening
in
more
the
and more
90s.
nowadays.
And that was back in the 90s this happened, so I wish I could remember the name of the song now.
A rapper by the name of Wiz Khalifa samples a lot of Kirby music, a lot. It's almost embarrassing to listen to.
Like which Kirby music?
Bubbly Clouds.
Oh.
I'm not joking with a guy like rapping over Bubbly Clouds.
Just thinking about that sounds awful.
It's actually kind of awesome, but it's a guilty pleasure. Yeah.
As long as it's not Snoop Dogg.
Oh, okay, well. We've all heard the Kirby remix.
Yes, yes.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
I think as far as like obviously video game music, because the quality has become so much greater over the last decade. Obviously, it's going to become more legitimized as an art form, or at least legitimized in the eyes of the mainstream. As far as whether or not it will ever become like a pop thing, I don't think it ever will. I mean, it's the same with any kind
I might debate that. Gucci.
Yeah, but that's chiptunes, doesn't
You're hearing, but would you not see that that's not derived from games? It is.
No.
That sound, even on like radio and stuff like that, is being more and more pushed.
Yeah, but I meant more in terms of video game soundtracks as something that you hear played on radio.
Oh god, no. I still get looks whenever I'm like blaring Final Fantasy walking down, like Young and Lord.
That's the most fun thing to do ever.
I think we can be okay with that, because do they ever play anything good on the radio?
No. But by the way, huge fan of Gucci, so.
Yeah. No, my friend has a funny story about blaring the Persona Hondo driving down Jane and Finch.
Persona Hondo?
The windows got closed pretty quick.
Space in the car turned into
about like where they're gonna have to, it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna duck. That's good.
I like the back there.
I'm gonna agree with the last comment. I think an issue with video game music, music from video games, is that it's not just music. It has to serve a purpose. It has to build a mood. It has to represent something that a player is doing. So unless the song happens during a cutscene, or it's for a trailer, or it's a title theme, I don't think a video game song would ever really get past being from the game, because it has to do a job, right? So unless it tries to be more musical, then I think it'll be difficult for video game music to become just a mainstream thing, because you can't just listen to a song that plays during like a Street Fighter round. It loops around a lot.
I was really happy to see Nobu in Time a few years ago. Did everybody see that? Nobu Uematsu got an article in Time.
Really?
He did,
Cool.
yeah, for one of the most influential people. And I'm really happy. I think that guy deserves a plaque. I really do. He's been doing it for so many years, and he's one of the people that, if you listen to game music, even if you're not a big Final Fantasy fan, you respect him.
He actually did other soundtracks. He left
Oh
Square
yeah,
Enix a couple
Face
years ago.
Walker and the Smash Bros. Theme as well.
Lost Odyssey is one of his greatest soundtracks.
Lost Odyssey was a beautiful game.
I love that game, and as well, Blue Dragon as well. Those are probably my top two besides Final Fantasy soundtrack. I also like the Mirror's Edge soundtrack as well. If you haven't played that game, it's a really underrated game. You should definitely play it. It's really, really awesome.
Parkour.
Yeah. It has a great soundtrack.
I just wanted to like about music becoming more mainstream. I know maybe just got this super mainstream, but when I'm like sitting up in the faculty of music with my friends and I'm playing like the 12 soundtrack, very orchestral and done by real instruments, or like the 13 soundtrack, my friends are like, when they hear like a calming, very romantic sound, they're like, is that a Schubert? And then it's like, it sounds so classical, and then like the first years don't know anything, but and yeah, like it's becoming like, I don't know, really orchestral soundtracks are becoming more popular, I guess. And like it seems like that's the best way to get like, it seems a good way to get more people into it. Because that's how I got into music, honestly. When I was really young, I heard these soundtracks and I'm like, oh, classical music can be awesome. And then I picked up the saxophone and started playing it, and now I'm a professional player.
Oh, fantastic. I agree with this. I think that unfortunately, people taking things at face value. Things like classical music and real instruments will always let people take a piece of music more seriously. I can't count the number of times, just a test, I've showed a friend a piece of music from a game, and haven't told him as soon as I told him from a game, oh, that's dumb, blah, 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 blah. And of course, before that, oh, wow, this is nice, I like this. And then, you in the back, yeah.
Just reminding back to the video game soundtracks not really being mainstream. Well, video games have only been out so long, and movies have been out even longer. You don't really hear a lot of like good movie soundtracks appearing on the radio or anything like that. And maybe people will agree that it's nice now, but it's not really that mainstream ever.
It's also marketed to sell the soundtracks individually.
Yeah.
with the change in music, and it's always evolving, it's always changing, especially like right now with electronic music, it's incorporating a lot of video game music. And you're getting people that were regular like rock fans. I've got one friend, and to sit there and try to get him to listen to electronic music, wouldn't do it. And all of a sudden something caught him, and all of a sudden now he's listening to it.
Yeah.
So I think like you look at it, jazz was what rock was. Like that was a mainstream type of music, and now to go somewhere to try to find jazz, you can't find it.
There are, I have a saying, and it's, some people hate me for it. If you listen to music, and everybody does to varying degrees, you will find at least one song from every genre that you will be able to enjoy. That's a given. You can totally call me on that, and I will prove it to you. Like it's and that's how people broaden their horizons. You know, I country music. Country music country music gets all on the shit. There's no,
because it's all about my wife left me and all I've got is my dog.
However,
beat up
for me, the only way to do country is Johnny Cash. I love Johnny Cash. Hank Williams, all the it's one of those things where it comes with broadening your musical horizon. That's
and also let's kind of face it too, in the way like even TV is now is all evolving. Like to be a quote unquote geek was like people look down on you, and now it's there. It's a normal thing to enjoy stuff like what we do.
Hot Topics are having trouble stocking their shit because people are all over it now.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Whenever you talk about mainstream music, lots of games that have like actual like artists that do the soundtrack for them. I never think of that. It's like like you know how like in the 90s they had like documentaries about
Well, he did do the soundtrack.
But it's kind of like mixed. It's like you're bits of it, but it's not official. It's
Soundtrack, I'm not sure many people for Premonition soundtrack was
I loved it.
hilarious. It's so
that
good.
game is so bad, so good. Like it's amazing, but it's terrible.
When they used Amazing Grace, I was just like, yes.
I've been wanting to play that, but I don't have a 360, so I can't play it.
Yeah.
So we got about 5 minutes left, so I'm just gonna start closing. Yeah.
Oh, just a comment on the popular artists. When Final Fantasy 13 did it for the English release, everyone kind of freaked out when Leona Lewis did the thing, and not in a good way. Gamers were mad. So I don't think gamers actually want the video game industry to try and make it more mainstream. Because that was absolutely a push to get 13 attention, because the Leona Lewis songs were on the commercials, like in North America, and gamers were pissed off. Like, they didn't want that.
I think it's a double-sided sword. Being more mainstream and selling to more people means that you cannot target your audience that specifically. However, in order to keep these companies that you love afloat, like Nintendo, like Square, etc., they need money.
Exactly.
Games don't sell, those companies go out of business, like Wharton Designs, etc.
It's the same with any industry, movie, television, radio. They try and broaden their horizon. You know, you may have your hardcore fans, but everyone wants to try and get new fans. Look at what Microsoft did with Kinect and Nintendo with the Wii.
The Wii gets a lot of shit, but honestly, it's a brilliant invention because it gets adults to play games.
It's the people that didn't play video games before that owned the Kinect.
When was the last time you saw Grandma bowling at my TV and like loving it?
As a parallel to the confidence, because look at Korn and the Silent Hill, right? The Korn thing with Silent Hill, people started freaking out, and of course it's because everyone cares. He's not doing it anymore than music, so a lot of fans rejected that, but I think in reality, they accepted it.
That's good. Well, you know that, just another example, I don't know if we have any Nine Inch Nails fans here, but Trent Reznor did the music for, I believe it was Quake and Doom 3.
I believe I know we did one video game, but I can't really remember what it was.
Definitely did quick one.
Yeah. I think it was Quick. I don't think it was Doom. I think it was Quick.
The only game that I don't think was mentioned here that I think should be mentioned were two actually. Journey. Journey is a very cool PSN title. And if anyone hasn't heard the Bastion soundtrack, you owe yourself to listen to that soundtrack.
Oh, that soundtrack is beautiful.
Also like flowers.
Yeah, Flowers is
If I could just make a recommendation again, try to think outside the box. Try something. Because if you don't like it, at least you'll know you don't like it. So you'll know where to go. You know?
Opposite direction.
Yep. Try new things. You know, as painful as it may seem. That's really all I'm saying.
Yeah, like when I first heard Death Step, I hated it. I was like, what is this crap? But then I heard Adventures Club do Ice and Colors, and then in the Coke version, I was like, this song is pretty cool. And also there was the song for the Microsoft ad for Internet Explorer 9, Alex Clare, Too Close as well. That was also a great song as well.
Thank you all for coming to our panel. Maybe we'll see you again next year.